Hey guys, there were some other things too, obviously, that I wanted to put in that video last night, but I didn't want to make it super long. I wanted to just cover some of the main points, but this is another point I think that is interesting when you take a look at John 1. Now, when you go down to verse 19, it says, "And this is the testimony of John when the Jews sent the priests and the Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, 'Who are you?' He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, 'I am not the Christ.' And they asked him, 'What then? Are you Elijah?' He said, 'I am not.' 'Are you a prophet?' He answered, 'No.' So they said to him, 'Who are you? We need to give an answer to those who sent us. What do you say about yourself?' He said, 'I am the voice of one crying out in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord, as the prophet Isaiah said.'" Okay, and if we go, he's quoting Isaiah 40, and if we take a look at 40 in detail, and we start just at verse 1, it says, "Comfort my people, says your God. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem and cry to her that her warfare is ended, that her iniquity is pardoned, that she has received from Yahweh and hand double for all her sins. A voice cries in the wilderness, prepare the way of Yahweh, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be lifted up, every mountain and hill made low. The uneven ground shall become level, and the rough places as a plain. And the glory of Yahweh shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. For the mouth of Yahweh has spoken." Okay, so you already know what I'm getting at with that section. The works that Jesus did, the baptizing, was to prepare the way of Yahweh. But it goes on, it says, "A voice says, 'Cry,' and I said, 'What shall I cry?' All flesh is grass, and all its beauty is like a flower of the field. The grass withers, the flower fades. When the breath of Yahweh blows on it, surely the people are grass. The grass withers and the flowers fade, but the word of our God will stand forever." And what I would get at right there is, like, in that sense, I don't get that um, that kind of conception idea. I think it's kind of like the Genesis word. It's just like they're speaking of what comes out of him, whatever he states. And then it says, "Go up onto a high mountain, O Zion, herald of good news. Lift up your voice with strength, O Jerusalem, herald of good news. Lift up, fear not. Say to the cities of Judah, behold your God. Behold, Yahweh Elohim comes with might, and his arm rules for him. Behold, his reward is with him, and his recompense before him. He will tend his flock like a shepherd. He will gather the lamb in his arms. He will carry them in his bosom, and gently lead them that are with young." It sounds like Isaiah was looking for God in some kind of way. 12. "Who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and marked off the heavens with a span enclosed the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountains in scales and the hills in a balance? Who has measured the spirit of Yahweh? Or what man has shown him counsel? Whom did he consult? And whom made him understand? Who taught him the path of justice, and taught him knowledge, and showed him the way of understanding? Behold, the nations are like a drop from a bucket, and are counted as dust on the scales. Behold, he takes up the coastlands like fine dust. Lebanon would not suffice for fuel, nor are its beasts enough for burnt offering. All the nations are as nothing before him. They are counted by him as less than nothing and emptiness. To whom will you liken God? Or what likeness will you compare him? An idol, a craftsman casts it, and a goldsmith overlays it with gold, and casts it for its silver chains. He who is too impoverished for an offering chooses wood that will not rot. He seeks out a skillful craftsman to set up an idol that will not move. Do you not know? Do you not hear? Has it been told to you from the beginning? Have you not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is he who sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in, who brings princes to nothing and makes the rulers of the earth as emptiness. And, to me, Isaiah is kind of saying the same thing that John is. It's kind of more about the literal action to me. Verse 24, scarcely are they planted, scarcely sown, scarcely has their stem taken root in the earth, when he blows on them, and they wither, and the tempest carries them off like stubble. To whom will you compare me, that I should be like him, says the Holy One? Lift up your eyes on high and see who created these. He who brings out the host by number, calling them all by name, by the greatness of his might, and because he is strong in power, not one is missing. Why do you say, O Jacob, and speak, O Israel, my way is hidden from Yahweh, and my right is disregarded by my God? Have you not known, have you not heard? Yahweh is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might he increases strength. That sounds like Jesus. Even youth shall faint and be weary, and young men shall fall. But they who wait for Yahweh shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Like I said, it sounds to me, and yeah, obviously you can take it either way, but it kind of sounds to me like Isaiah was looking for God himself, and I think that's what John is saying. And, I think back when Jesus walks up and he says, "Oh, Israel, how often I would have gathered you." I think that's the Father speaking. And I don't know if anywhere else in the Bible where the word would be symbolized by something, like you have the dove with the Spirit descending on Jesus. You know what I mean? So that's what I would say. I guess it's just a little side note. When you take a look at Isaiah 40, the word there is Yahweh. And so you can see, I baptize in water among you that do not know, even comes after me. Excuse me. So he said, "Who are you?" He said, "I'm a voice crying out in the wilderness, make straight." It's going to be the way of Yahweh. The way of Yahweh. Baptized in Jesus, in some sense, was important, I think, for God coming to dwell in him. So there's just some, little further points. I don't want to make this video too long. I'd rather just kind of make, one or two points in some of these videos. And so there's something to think about. What was Isaiah talking about exactly? When he talks about Yahweh himself shepherding his people. I think back to Peter, and I think, Isaiah, I think, was shepherded by God. I think that he was, so that spirit was in the world, and most people, including people in Israel, did not know him. Most. That's why you have the prophets speaking the way that they do. But, you see some references to the word here. And again, I don't get the impression that he's talking about, conceptual things. I think he's talking about, his point is when God says something. And, I think the word is more used to express one's thoughts. And it seems like people are putting a lot more focus on the thought itself, which I guess, is important to understand, trying to understand the thoughts of God. Not, we're inadequate for that, but I think when they use that when they say word a lot, I think they're talking about the actual word that came out. I don't know if they're referencing so much what the thought was. And that's how I would put it. The actual expression. The word of the Lord stands. I don't think he's saying that the conceptions of God. Excuse me. I think he's saying what he actually says, what he actually does, stands forever. I think that's what he's getting at. So that's it. I'm going to cut this one off, keep this one short. But take a look at Isaiah 40 and, just put a little thought into what did it mean to make straight the paths of the Lord? What did that mean? And I think when he says they're going to see God's glory, I think John and Jesus talk about that in the book of John a lot. It's not I who do the works, but the Father who is in me. I am in the Father. And I think that's what he's talking about. They saw the glory of Yahweh because he dwelled in his temple. And I think there's something to be said about that. That's it on that one, though. God bless.